not only from a regulatory perspective, but from a IMP perspective, is the cost of not having toughness values and what that does to increase actionable anomalies from advanced ILI reports, whether that might be crack detection, MFL tools, or any other assessments you might be receiving there.
So for the tool itself, we've achieved the bind validation, and we're really excited about that. One of the first things that we did in kicking this off to start was making sure that we met that laboratory standard and we met our own standards to meet what it would take in the equivalent of CT testing, JR to get that K value. So that was achieved as of March 30th. I'm going to share some equivalents there. But those were shared with the JIP members. And then, another key important aspect here is that information shared with PHMSA. We do have a sponsored project with them, so they are aware of our validation status and that we met that goal as of the end of the month. You really are more likely than not to have higher seam toughness than what those default values are. So you end up paying a bit of a penalty on that, and it forces you to be in these more excessive and costly management programs that exceed what you might really need to do in order to properly mitigate risk and manage your pipelines here. When you take this and put this into play, I want to go to the seam toughness side of things for a moment. And what we've seen is some pretty direct response and improvements here. So I've got two different projects lifted up on the screen, each with different operators, different results. But what we were able to do was provide them with some direct cost savings through dig reduction. And the way we did that was essentially get them out of those holes of default toughness measurements. So in one example that we have up top, we actually saw a nearly 50% reduction in the amount of digs that they were doing. So they could leverage some of the operational efficiency and take some of those savings, right? You guys earned it. And then on the other example we have here, a little smaller sample count overall, but we were able to have a pretty significant reduction in what they were doing simply by giving them the opportunity to get out of those holes from default assumptions.
When the test is completed, we make 200 independent measurements of that height of that ligament that's in dark on the image. And the lab testing, the fracture mechanic testing, essentially does the same thing. So on that plot, you go from the gray to the very dark elliptical shape, and that's the crack extension. It's a slow crack extension that's happening in our tests. That's also happening in the JR testing.